Hey guys, what's up? Shadowlands back. I have my promised Ghost in the Shell review and gameplay here. I'm going to say right off the bat, I am very pleased with this game, and actually, I'm particularly pleased with this gameplay that I got. I'm not actually that great at the game as much as I really love it, but I was really lucky to get this fantastic gameplay here. I went well over a positive KD, and I think it really shows the game really well because I use a variety of weapons in here. The thing that's nice about this game, unlike combat arms, is that it has loadouts, and that actually leads me into my very first topic. I want to talk about the guns in the game first. The first and most prominent thing is that there are loadouts, which people have been asking about for combat arms for the longest time. You can actually have preset loadouts, much like Battlefield or Call of Duty, that you can switch out between lives. It's really nice, and if you die, you switch loadouts. It's just simply the way it works. There's an auto respawn timer, much like combat arms, so it's not like those games where you have to respawn yourself, like Battlefield, where you have to go in and make sure that you respawn by pressing a button or something. The game has a very similar unlock system, similar to the Battlefield series, like I was actually just saying. So whenever you want to unlock a new gun or modifications for a gun, you use that gun a lot, and you unlock more stuff for it. So just the more you use a weapon that you like, the more stuff you'll unlock for it. There's some modifications that you have to unlock and other ones that you have to buy. Usually the ones you buy are better, but the ones that you unlock later in the game are really nice. You get this stuff called TP. I'm not actually sure what it stands for, but let's say you get a kill with a weapon. You'll get a TP for that weapon and everything that you're unlocking for it. So let's say you're in the middle of unlocking a muzzle, a scope, and a magazine. You'll get one TP for each of those, as well as the weapon itself. And that's really cool. I really like the way it works like Battlefield, where it's your performance with the weapon actually directly affects how fast you unlock it. So if you're an absolute demon with an SMG, use the SMG a lot and you'll get a lot of TP for it, you'll unlock more stuff for it. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of variety in weapons right now. I think total there's maybe 40 weapons in the game. That's including primaries, secondaries, grenades, everything combined. So there's not a lot of variety right now, but I get the feeling that will change given that the game is currently in beta. As far as the economy is concerned, as much as I can tell, it is not pay to win. The only things you can even pay for right now with real money are purely cosmetic, which is really nice. I hope it stays that way, but chances are, given that it's a Nexon game, that will not happen. Now, I know some of the other companies that are actually involved in the development of this game, and they are not pay to win either. They've done a very good job, but just purely because Nexon is involved, that could change. So I'm just going to throw that out right now. GP, which is the in-game money similar to combat arms, is very hard to get, but that doesn't seem to be much of a drawback on the game. You need to manage your money very well, but if you do that, you're not going to ever feel like you're in need of a lot of money, even though you don't actually have that much. Most of the money you spend is either going to be on new weapons, and if you're going to buy a new weapon, it's a very serious investment, much like Soldier Front 2, where it's going to cost you all of your funds for a short while. Modifications are much cheaper, and every time you level up, you should be able to afford at least one, if not two, new modifications for weapons. Now, the sad part is you have to buy those modifications for every individual weapon. So if you buy an ACOG scope, you can't move it from one weapon to the other. You have to have it on the weapon you buy it for. So make sure you're really sure that's what you want to buy, especially since they're very expensive and they're only bought for permanent durations. As far as I can tell, there is no 7-day duration thing unless you get it out of a crate or something where they'll give you a 7-day character or a 7-day something that you can use, 7-day EXP boost. As far as I can tell, though, I've never seen a 7-day weapon or something like that. So there very well could be those, and I just haven't been lucky enough to get one or unlucky enough to get one, as it may be. But that's at least what I can tell. In terms of maps and map variety, what you're going to be playing, right now this is the biggest lacking factor on the game. There are 3 game modes that you can play. There's a capture the flag type game mode, a team deathmatch game mode, and one other one that I believe is like a search and destroy sort of game mode. But from what I can tell, the only one that's actually played is the team deathmatch. It will actually be impossible to find a game in the other 2 modes. Unfortunately, team deathmatch only has 3 maps. That being said, each of the 3 maps is very well designed, very balanced, and quite heavily based off of the design of Counter-Strike maps. If you've ever been a fan of Counter-Strike or played those games, you're going to feel at home in these maps. Not to mention the graphics look beautiful. I want to move on to the mechanics, and this is something that I really think is very important with this game. Teamwork is very highly encouraged. Anyone who's been following my Destiny gameplay and watches the way that we play, you stick with your team. You do not run off solo in this game. If you run off solo, you will die. That is just a fact. You will die. You will not survive. At best, you'll kill 1 or 2 people. Unless you just have an unbelievably lucky streak and you have silencers on your weapons. You will die. You need to be with your team the entire time. Ganging up on enemies and sticking together is very key. This is for a couple of reasons. First of all, there's the super abilities that you guys have. A lot of them can be shared around. For example, thermoptic camo and the shields that you can put up, which is actually new as of the last update. Things like that, the nanogel armor, when one person activates it, everyone around them can copy it for a shorter with a much weaker variation of it. But that's still very nice because then you can be invisible for a short while just because your teammate is. So going as a group is very important. There's similar gun mechanics in the game to Soldier Front 2, and the recoil is a lot like CSGO, where you have to pull down pretty hardcore and tap fire a lot. Tapping is very key, much more so than in Combat Arms, where you can just spray and play with an M4A1. Movement mechanics are a lot more like SF2 and Combat Arms. It's very, very precise. What you press is what you get. I really like that. It's very fast response time. The game feels very, very nice. Not a lot of lag, although when there is lag, it's very apparent. I'd say maybe 1 out of 10 games I play has bad lag or so, but it's overall not that bad. As far as the gameplay itself is concerned, it is very, very fast-paced like Call of Duty. However, it has a much more tactical side to it, unlike Call of Duty and Combat Arms, due to the super abilities. You want to wait for like a certain person's super ability to charge up so that your whole team can go invisible for a short while and flank on a group of 2 to 3 of the other teammates, get a few kills that way. If you're in a group, you're much less likely to die because then there's more meat shields for everyone else to shoot at. As much as I say that as a joke, it's actually pretty true, and it's very, very effective, and it keeps more of your teammates alive. If you're in a group of at least 3 people, you should be fine. 2 people, you're more likely to be a tag team by other people, and if you run off on your own, people are going to call you an idiot. Anyway, super abilities, long story short, determine the tide of the gameplay, and both teams typically do a pretty good job of managing that. You're going to notice that people who've been playing this game for at least a few weeks really have the hang of it. The best team, from what I can tell, is to have 1 turret, 1 seeker drone. The seeker drones, if you don't know, a turret is pretty self-explanatory, but a seeker drone is like a little bot that goes around like the RVs on Call of Duty, where they will literally just run up to someone and explode and kill them. It's very, very useful, but there's quite a long cooldown time on it, so it's not very broken. It's pretty well balanced, actually. And then you want to have 2 thermal shields and 2 thermoptic camos. The thermoptic camos are great because then you can alternate between your team going between the 2 people who have them. So one person will use it, everyone on the team will copy it, and then the other person will use it, everyone else on the team will copy it, and so on. You can trade back and forth, juggling it. The other one is the 2 thermal shields. So if you ever want to make a push on an enemy or a push on a group of enemies, having a thermal shield for your team makes it so it's very, very difficult for them to see you, and also it does take away from some of the damage that you take when they shoot through it. However, you can shoot through it with full damage, which is very nice. That may sound overpowered, but the shields are not very big. You can usually only fit maybe 2 people behind it at once, so it's actually not that overpowered. And the weapon range in this game is relatively limited unless you're using a sniper rifle, so it's not that broken. It's actually quite balanced, and I'm very impressed with it. But that's about my overall view of the game right now, guys. I'm very much enjoying it. It's cheap right now on Steam despite being in beta, and I highly recommend you guys actually go and try this game out if you have the money to spend. I believe it's like $5 to $15, depending on what package you want to buy. I definitely think it's worth it, and I highly recommend you guys check it out. Anyway, guys, cheers. I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I will see you guys in the next video. Shadowlance, out.